I'll crush you, human. The roar shook the corridor like thunder trapped in metal. A shadow fell over Milo Reyes, then 330 pounds of armored alien warrior slammed him flat, pinning his wrists with one hand like he was nothing. Milo's cheek scraped the deck. His ears rang. The station lights flickered. And in the red emergency glow, Milo realized the terrifying truth. This wasn't a battle for his life. It was a test for humanity's future. Milo's breath came fast, but his mind stayed sharp. He had learned long ago that panic was a luxury. He was a maintenance engineer on Wayfarer Relay Station, a trade hub drifting at the edge of disputed space. He fixed life support, patched hull leaks, and made broken machines behave, usually by bribing them with clever wiring and stubborn hope. But this was different. The alien on top of him was enormous, taller than a doorway and built like a walking wall. Her skin was a deep blue-gray, patterned with faint silver lines like storm clouds. Her armor looked grown rather than forged, hugging her like living plates. Her eyes were bright, predatory gold. Milo tried to shift. He couldn't. The pressure on his chest wasn't just weight, it was control. She had him measured, balanced, and locked. "Say your surrender," she growled, leaning closer. "Say it, and I spare your bones." Milo swallowed blood and forced a crooked smile. "You talk a lot for someone who already won." Her eyes narrowed. Humans are noisy prey, even when pinned. Behind her, the corridor was chaos, smoke, sparks, and a drifting smell of burned plastic. A security drone lay crushed, twisted into scrap. Another had a hole melted straight through its core. The station had been hit by something fast and cruel, and now the whole place groaned like it might split apart. Milo stared past her shoulder and saw the sealed blast doors ahead, painted with the symbol of the Karth Dominion, a cold empire that believed emotions were a disease. So why was a Karth ship here? The huge alien warrior followed his gaze and snorted. "You saw the mark. Good. Fear makes prey honest." Milo's heart thudded. "You're not Karth." Her jaw tightened. For a moment, her expression flickered, like a crack in a mask. "I am Rexa of the Gravitide clans. I am hired muscle, not your historian." "Rexa," Milo repeated, buying time. "So, someone paid you to crush me?" "Yes. And you're doing it." "I am pinning you," she corrected. "Crushing is optional." Milo's eyes shifted to his left hand. The emergency panel beside him was half open, wires exposed. His fingertips could almost reach the thin copper strand hanging loose, if he could move 1 inch. Rexa leaned closer, her voice lower. "Human engineer. Milo Reyes. You are valuable to someone. That is why you breathe." Milo kept his face calm. "Then ask yourself why the station is falling apart around us." Rexa's eyes narrowed again. "Because the Karth came for the relay." "And you're helping them?" Milo asked. Her grip tightened. Pain lanced up his arms. "I help whoever pays." Milo forced air into his lungs and spoke through the pressure. "They're going to kill everyone here. Traders, workers, families, even you. The Karth don't keep hired muscle. They recycle it." That landed. Rexa's eyes flickered again, anger, maybe doubt. Her weight didn't lift, but her head tilted slightly. Milo seized the moment. He spoke quickly, with the calm of a man fixing a reactor while it screamed. "You pinned me because you think humans are weak. Fine. But humans survive by doing the one thing your empire hates." "And what is that?" Rexa asked. Milo's lips twitched. "Improvising." With a tiny twist of his wrist, he hooked the loose copper wire with his finger and dragged it across a live contact. A sharp snap burst from the panel. The floor plate beneath Rexa's knee flashed blue. A maintenance shock grid, low power, meant to discourage rats from chewing cables, spiked up through her armor. Rexa jerked, startled. Not hurt, just surprised. And surprise was all Milo needed. He yanked his arm free, rolled, and slid under her reach like a man diving away from a falling beam. Rex's hand slammed into the deck where his head had been a heartbeat earlier. Milo sprang up, grabbed a fallen utility bar, and backed toward the junction hatch. Rexa rose to her full height, towering, crackling with fury. Trick. Milo raised both hands, bar still in one. Not a trick. A repair feature. Rexa took a step, and the deck complained beneath her weight. Her voice dropped into something darker. Do that again, and I crush you for real. Milo nodded once. Fair. But before you crush me, listen. The station shuddered, harder this time. A distant boom rolled through the hull. Overhead lights stuttered and died in sections. A calm voice came over the intercom, too smooth to belong to anyone who cared. Attention. Wayfarer Relay is now under Karth Dominion quarantine. All residents will submit. Resistance will be corrected. Milo felt cold spread through his chest. That voice wasn't a threat. It was paperwork. Rex's eyes hardened. The Karth commander speaks. Milo pointed down the corridor. They're not here for trade. They're here to erase this station. And if they erase it, your contract means nothing. You'll die with the rest of us. Rex's nostrils flared. She looked toward the Dominion blast doors as if she could see through them. Milo took a careful step closer. You're strong. Stronger than anyone here. But strength alone won't beat the Karth. They use drones, mind leashes, and protocols that don't break. Rex's jaw clenched. Then what breaks them? Milo's eyes flicked to the damaged panel, the loose wires, the fallen drone core still sparking on the floor. Humans break systems by making them do something they were never designed to do. Rexa stared at him, and for the first time her voice changed. Less predator, more wary soldier. You want to fight them. Milo's throat tightened, but he kept his voice steady. I want to keep the station alive. And I need access to the central array. The Karth are trying to lock it down. Rex's gaze sharpened. The central array controls the relay gates. Exactly, Milo said. If they shut the gates, no one escapes. If we take them first, we can trap the Karth ship in its own net. Rexa stared a moment longer, then slowly lowered her hands. You are small, she said. And loud. And irritating. Milo exhaled. I get that a lot. Rexa took one heavy step closer. But you are not stupid prey. Milo nodded once. No. I'm a human engineer. Rex's eyes glinted. Then you will come with me. If you lie, I crush you. If you slow me, I crush you. If you fail. Milo finished it for her. You crush me. She grunted, satisfied. Milo glanced toward the nearest access hatch. Sparks rained from a severed conduit. Somewhere, civilians screamed. Somewhere else, boots clanged, Dominion troops or drones moving like insects through a dying ship. Rexa reached down, grabbed Milo by the collar, and lifted him just enough to remind him what 330 pounds really meant. Then she set him down, surprisingly careful. Move, she ordered. Milo ran, because there was no choice. And because deep down, beneath the fear, something fierce ignited in him. The Karth Dominion believed emotions were weakness. They believed humans were fragile. Tonight, Milo planned to prove the galaxy wrong, using nothing but scrap metal, broken rules, and a dangerous alien warrior who had almost crushed him. And that was just the beginning. Rexa moved through Wayfarer Relay like a storm with legs. The corridor floor plates trembled under each step, not from fear, but from simple physics. She was massive, fast, and completely certain of herself. Milo had seen heavy machinery move with less confidence. He jogged beside her, trying to match her pace while keeping his mind ahead of his feet. They passed a shattered vending unit, floating snack packets, and a wall screen stuck on a looping evacuation warning. The station's air tasted sharp, hot metal, old plastic, and the faint sour edge of panic. Ahead, the bulkhead door to Maintenance Spine C was sealed shut. A red warning bar flashed across it. Dominion override active. Access denied. Milo's stomach dropped. That's bad. Rexa didn't slow. Open it. I can't open Dominion Override, Milo said, breathless. It's military lockout. Rexa's jaw tightened. Then you are less useful than advertised. Milo raised his hands. I didn't advertise anything. Rexa lifted her hammer. Blue-white energy crackled along its head. The air smelled like lightning. Move aside. Milo stepped back fast. Wait, if you smash that door, you might trip a pressure cascade. This section holds coolant lines and power conduits. One wrong hit and the whole spine could vent. Rexa paused. Her eyes cut to him. You stall. I don't stall, Milo said. I solve. The station shuddered again. A dull thump rolled through the hull like a distant fist. Somewhere behind them, alarms changed pitch, going from urgent to desperate. Over the intercom, the same calm voice returned. Civilians are reminded. Hiding prolongs correction. Surrender improves efficiency. Milo felt his teeth grind. That voice was the sound of someone filing a report while people died. He crouched by the door panel. The panel was scorched, half melted, and clearly not meant to be opened from this side. Dominion troops must have sealed the maintenance arteries to keep anyone from reaching the core. Milo popped the casing with his utility bar. Sparks jumped. Inside, wires were wrapped in black shielding, with a small, elegant module attached, Dominion encryption hardware, cleaner than anything on the station. He swallowed. Okay. This is impressive. Rexa loomed over him. Open it. Milo leaned closer, studying the module. It's not just a lock. It's listening. If I brute force it, it pings their network and they'll send drones straight to us. Rexa's eyes narrowed. Then why do you stare at it like treasure? Milo smiled despite the fear. Because it's still a machine. And machines have rules. He reached into his belt pouch and pulled out a cheap diagnostic clip, something he used to test voltage in old panels. It looked like a toy next to Dominion tech. Rexa gave a short, amused sound. That will not defeat Dominion code. It won't, Milo agreed. But this will. He dug deeper and produced a small, battered object wrapped in tape, a portable coil driver, homemade from scrap, used for nudging stuck valves. It wasn't supposed to hack anything. It was supposed to push metal a few millimeters. Milo placed the coil driver against the module and adjusted a dial with his thumb. Dominion encryption is quantum synced. It expects perfect timing. But it also uses an internal stabilizer to keep its oscillator smooth. Rexa stared. Explain in Prey language. Milo grinned. It wants to hear a perfect song. I'm going to give it noise. He flipped the coil driver on. A low hum filled the air. The module's tiny indicator light flickered, once, twice, then began blinking fast, confused. Milo clipped the diagnostic probe onto the module's outer casing and watched the readings jump. Come on, he muttered. Come on, show me your heartbeat. The station trembled again, harder, and dust rained from the ceiling seam. Rexa's head snapped up. Drones. Milo froze. He listened. Yes, faint whirring in the distance, like a swarm moving with purpose. 2 corridors back, Rexa said. Fast. Milo kept his hand steady. I need 10 seconds. Rexa's armor plates shifted as she turned, hammer ready. You have 5. Milo's mind raced. He wasn't fighting with strength. He was fighting with timing. He watched the module's indicator lights, tiny pulses. He adjusted the coil driver frequency until the pulses began stuttering. The module didn't know if it was still synchronized with Dominion time. Milo murmured, if you can't keep time, you can't keep control. He pulled a wire free, one he should never touch, and bridged it to a grounding point. The module made a soft chirp. The door's warning bar flickered. Then it switched to yellow. Local access fallback. Milo's eyes widened. Yes. He slapped the manual release. The bulkhead door hissed, groaned, then slid open just enough to reveal a dark passage beyond. Cold air rushed out, smelling of coolant and stale metal. Rexa stepped backward as drones rounded the far bend, sleek spheres with bright red scanning lenses. They moved in a tight formation, like predators trained not to waste motion. Milo yanked the door wider. Inside. Now. Rexa grabbed Milo by the back of his shirt and shoved him through like a rag doll. Milo stumbled into the maintenance tunnel and nearly fell into a trench of piping. Rexa swung her hammer as the drones fired. Blue plasma streaked into the doorway, scorching the frame. She struck once. The hammer didn't just hit metal, it hit reality. Electricity surged outward in a wave, and 3 drones dropped instantly, their lights dying mid-flight. 2 more darted away, avoiding the shockwave. Milo looked back, heart hammering. They're learning. Rexa's mouth curled. Good. I hate boring hunts. She slammed her shoulder into the door and forced it shut. The locking clamps engaged, sealing the tunnel behind them. For a moment, there was only darkness and the low hum of station machinery. Milo bent over, hands on knees, catching breath. Okay, he said. That was a lot. Rexa stood still, listening like an animal in tall grass. More come. Many. Milo wiped sweat from his brow. The tunnel was narrow, packed with pipes and cables. Emergency lights were dead here. Only the faint glow from Rexa's hammer gave any visibility, painting everything in cold blue. We need the central array, Milo said. If we reach it first, we can do something big. Rexa's eyes glinted. And if we fail? Milo swallowed. Then the Karth seal the relay gates and harvest the station. No survivors. Rexa's skin markings brightened slightly, not with fear, but with something like anger. Karth harvest living minds. Milo looked up. You know that. Rexa's jaw clenched. They did it to my clan's outpost once. Took our young. Took our elders. Left only silence. Milo felt a chill. He had heard rumors, whispers in ports and deep space bars. People talked about the Dominion like a ghost story. Efficient. Quiet. Clean. No one told the ending. Because the ending was empty. Milo straightened slowly. Then we're on the same side. Rexa didn't answer right away. She stared down the tunnel, like she could see the core through steel and distance. Then she said, quietly, "Do not make me regret it, human." Milo nodded. Same. They moved deeper. The tunnel bent around coolant tanks and power couplers. Now and then, Milo touched a pipe or tapped a panel, reading it like a doctor reads a pulse. The station was hurting. Pressure fluctuations, heat spikes, intermittent gravity drift. Dominion is cutting power, Milo muttered. They're starving the station. Rexa's voice was low. So prey cannot run. Milo's lips tightened. They're not hunters. They're exterminators. A sudden metallic clang echoed ahead. Both froze. Milo lifted his utility bar. Rexa raised her hammer. A shape stepped into the blue glow. Not a drone. A person. A small alien, maybe 4 feet tall, with pale skin and 2 long ear-like frills. They wore a maintenance vest and carried a satchel. Their eyes were huge and terrified. They raised empty hands. Please, don't kill me. Milo blinked. Who are you? The alien swallowed hard. My name is Tessavine. I manage the relay's signal routing. The Dominion took the control room. They're locking the gates. Milo's heart lurched. You know how the array works. Tessa nodded fast. Yes. But, they looked at Rexa, trembling. That one, she's gravitide. They break doors for sport. Rexa's eyes narrowed. I break enemies. Not children. Tessa stared like they didn't believe it. Milo stepped between them, gentle but firm. Tessa, we're trying to stop the Dominion. Help us. Tessa's frills trembled. I tried to reroute emergency signals. They caught me. They Their voice cracked. They installed a Dominion leash on the relay core. It's not just locked. It's chained. Milo felt his stomach sink. A leash meant the array wasn't simply shut down. It was enslaved. If the Dominion controlled the relay gates, they controlled every ship that tried to pass. They could trap fleets like fish in a net. Milo exhaled slowly. Then he smiled, small, dangerous, and full of stubborn human spirit. A leash, he repeated. Rexa leaned closer. That is bad. Milo's eyes gleamed. Or it's an opportunity. Tessa blinked. How? Milo tapped his utility bar against the pipe beside him. Because if they leash the system, that means the system is still alive. Rexa's grip tightened on her hammer. You want to make the leash bite the one who holds it. Milo looked up at her. Exactly. Tessa stared at the two of them as if seeing a strange miracle. A human engineer. A giant alien warrior. Two enemies, forced into a plan that sounded insane. Milo extended his hand to Tessa. Come with us. We'll need your knowledge. Tessa hesitated, then placed their small hand in Milo's. Above them, the station groaned again, like it was counting down. Somewhere ahead, the Dominion waited behind perfect rules and cold logic. And somewhere inside Milo's mind, a familiar human idea sharpened into a weapon. If the enemy trusts the system, then the system is exactly where you strike. The maintenance tunnel opened into a service shaft that climbed like a throat toward the station's core. Ladders ran up the wall, and thick cable bundles hung like vines. Milo could feel the vibration of heavy machinery above them, pumps fighting heat, fans fighting smoke, the relay gate's heart still beating under Dominion hands. Rexa went first, climbing with frightening ease for someone her size. Each pull of her arms looked like it could tear the ladder out, yet she moved carefully, quiet as a predator. Milo followed, one hand on the rungs, the other protecting the satchel of tools he refused to leave behind. Tessa climbed last, breathing hard and whispering short prayers in a language Milo didn't know. Halfway up, the station lights flickered back to life for 1 second, then died again. Power cycling, Milo muttered. They're testing load failure points. Tessa's frills trembled. They're starving the station until we surrender. Milo climbed faster. Then we don't give them time. At the top of the shaft, a hatch led into the signal core annex, a ring of narrow corridors that wrapped around the main relay array like protective ribs. Milo had only been in here twice, and both times it felt like stepping inside a living machine. Every wall panel carried heat, every floor plate hummed with data flow, and every access port held secrets that could fold space. Now it felt like a tomb. The air was colder. Not normal cold, managed cold. Dominion cold. Rexa lifted the hatch silently and slid through. Milo followed, then Tessa. The annex corridor was dim, lit by thin emergency strips. Ahead, a Dominion barrier had been installed across the passage, a black lattice of metal and light, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. Milo stopped. That wasn't here yesterday. Tessa swallowed. That's a leash node. It anchors their control signal into the station's nervous system. Rexa's hammer buzzed, eager. I break it. Milo grabbed her forearm before he could think better of it. Her skin was warm and dense under his fingers, like muscle braided with steel. Rexa turned her head slowly, and her gold eyes pinned him the way she had earlier, like she was deciding whether to forgive the touch. Milo let go quickly. If you break it the wrong way, you alert every Dominion unit in the core. Then we're fighting an army in a hallway. Rexa's jaw tightened. We fight anyway. Yes, Milo said. But we fight on our terms. He crouched near the barrier and studied it. The lattice wasn't just physical, there was a thin field over it, almost invisible. It reminded him of a security mesh, but smarter. It watched. It judged. It punished. Tessa leaned closer, voice low. It detects mass changes. If something larger than a service drone passes through, it triggers a counterpulse. Rexa snorted softly. Then it was made to stop me. Exactly, Milo said. They know you're here or they plan for someone like you. Rex's eyes narrowed. You think they hired me on purpose? Milo didn't answer right away, because the truth was ugly. The Dominion didn't fear individual warriors. They feared unpredictability. They feared humans, because humans broke patterns. If the Dominion was here, and if they had prepared a leash node designed for someone like Rexa, then this might not be a simple raid. It might be a trap that had been waiting for years. Milo's fingers drifted to the coil driver in his pouch. Tessa, can you see the node's timing? Any diagnostic ports? Tessa pointed. There. Under the third rib panel. But it's Dominion coded. You'll need a cipher. Milo smiled, thin and quick. Or I can teach it to lie. He pried open the rib panel with the utility bar. Inside was a smooth black module with tiny shifting symbols. It looked too clean to belong in a station full of patched metal. Milo clipped his diagnostic probe on anyway. The readings came back strange, too stable. That's the problem, Milo whispered. It's perfect. Rex's voice rumbled. Perfect is strong. Milo shook his head. Perfect is brittle. He pulled 2 wires from the station's own harness, old copper, slightly frayed. He held them up. This station is messy. It has drift and noise and tiny errors. It's survived because it adapts. Tessa stared. If you inject noise into the leash. Milo nodded. We can make the Dominion signal look like it's still in control, while it actually feeds itself junk. Rexa tilted her head. You want to blind the leash. Not blind, Milo corrected. Confuse. If the leash thinks everything is normal, it won't call reinforcements. It will keep reporting efficiency while we pull its teeth. Tessa's frills lifted slightly, like hope trying to breathe. That's clever. Milo's chest tightened. He wasn't used to being called clever in moments like this. Usually he was called irresponsible, reckless, or why would you do that? But humanity didn't survive by waiting for permission. He connected the wires, then set the coil driver's frequency low and unstable. Not enough to trip alarms, just enough to introduce tiny timing errors. The leash module's indicator glyph shifted more quickly, like it was trying to recalculate. Milo whispered, "Come on, believe your own rules." The lattice barrier pulsed once, then softened. The faint field dimmed. Tessa gasped. It's letting us through." Rexa stepped forward, slow and careful. She moved into the lattice. Nothing happened. She made it halfway, then all the symbols on the module flashed at once. Milo's heart jumped. "Stop." Rexa froze mid-step. The field shimmered. The barrier began to rebuild its strength. Milo clenched his jaw and twisted the coil driver dial harder, forcing more noise into the system. The module stuttered. The field hesitated. The crawl space was never meant for someone Rex's size. It was a narrow service channel running beneath the relay chamber, packed with coolant lines and data conduits that hummed with quiet power. Milo squeezed in first, sliding on his stomach like a mechanic chasing a dropped bolt. Tessa followed, shaking but determined. Rexa came last. Metal screamed as she forced herself through. Milo winced. "Easy, those pipes regulate thermal balance." Rexa grunted. "Then they should be stronger." The crawl space vibrated as something massive moved above them. The overseer's platform drifted slowly, repositioning. Drones hummed like patient insects. Milo tapped his wrist pad, pulling up a schematic Tessa had patched together from memory. The Dominion pylons formed a ring around the array spine. Each pylon fed control signals into the leash network. One failed, the rest compensated. 2 failed, the system isolated damage. But 3. Milo smiled to himself. 3 created a paradox. They reached a junction where the crawl space widened just enough for them to crouch. Above them, a thin maintenance grate offered a view into the chamber. Milo peered through. The overseer stood perfectly still, hands clasped behind its back, watching drones reposition pylons with machine grace. Every movement was smooth, optimized, and soulless. Milo felt his jaw tighten. You think this is order, he thought. But it's just fear wearing a uniform. He turned to Rexa and Tessa. We take out 3 pylons. Not destroy, misalign. Rexa frowned. Why not smash? Because smashing is loud, Milo said. And predictable. Tessa nodded slowly. If the pylons dezinc, the leash will keep trying to correct itself. Exactly, Milo said. It will flood its own control loop with error corrections. The overseer will think it's still in charge, until the system snaps. Rexa's eyes gleamed. Then we fight. Milo shook his head. Then we redirect. He slid the grate open just enough and dropped silently into the chamber, landing behind the nearest pylon. The metal was warm, thrumming with energy. He pressed his ear to it and listened. Every system had a rhythm. Even Dominion tech. Milo pulled out the coil driver and adjusted it to a very specific frequency, one he'd learned fixing old Earth reactors. Not destructive. Just annoying. He attached it to the pylon's maintenance port. The pylon's glow flickered, barely noticeable. Milo grinned. 1. Above, the overseer's head tilted slightly. Milo froze. The overseer spoke without turning. Your heart rate has increased, human. Milo swallowed. That happens when I'm working. You are altering a pylon, the overseer said. Cease. Milo stood up slowly, visible now in the open chamber. You told me creativity was chaos. Yes. I thought I'd demonstrate. The overseer turned fully, red slit fixing on Milo. You believe this will matter? Milo shrugged. You believe it won't. Behind the overseer, Rexa dropped from the crawl space like a meteor. She didn't scream. She didn't roar. She hit the second pylon with the flat of her hammer, not breaking it, just twisting its alignment a few degrees off true. The pylon screamed, a high electronic shriek as its stabilizers fought the change. 2, Milo said. Drones reacted instantly, swarming toward Rexa. Tessa slid down next to Milo, hands shaking as she slapped a device onto the third pylon's control panel. I rerouted its phase angle, she gasped. It thinks it's still synced. The pylon pulsed out of rhythm. 3, Milo whispered. The chamber lights flickered. Every Dominion display lit up with cascading error symbols. The overseer stiffened. What have you done? It demanded. Milo's voice was calm, almost gentle. I taught your system to argue with itself. The leash network tried to correct the misalignments. Signals looped back on themselves, each correction creating a new error. The pylons glowed brighter, then dimmer, then brighter again, like a heartbeat gone wrong. Drones hesitated. For the first time, the overseer moved fast. Stabilize the network. Too late. Milo tapped his wrist pad and spoke clearly. Relay array. Auxiliary control. Authenticate Milo Reyes. Emergency creative override. The array responded, not because it recognized him, but because it recognized uncertainty. The Dominion leash had loosened its grip just enough. The relay rings shifted. Energy surged, not outward, but inward, folding the leash signals back into the pylons. The overseer staggered as its platform lurched. Impossible. You lack authorization. Milo stepped forward, eyes bright. I have something better. Rexa stood at his side, hammer humming. Tessa stood behind them, terrified and awed. What? The overseer asked. Milo smiled. I have permission from reality. The pylons overloaded, not exploding, but collapsing into safe shutdown, exactly as they were designed to do in a system-wide paradox. The leash vanished like a bad idea exposed to daylight. Every Dominion drone froze. Then dropped. The relay array's light changed, warmer, brighter, alive again. The overseer looked around slowly. You have caused instability. Milo nodded. That's what humans do when someone tries to chain us. The overseer raised an arm. Its armor shifted, revealing a weapon integrated into its forearm. Correction remains necessary. Rexa stepped forward, placing herself between Milo and the overseer. Her skin glowed bright and fierce. You wanted strength, she said. Here it is. The overseer analyzed her for exactly half a second. Then it attacked. The chamber exploded into motion. Rexa met the overseer head-on, hammer crashing against the alien's arm with a thunderous shockwave. Milo grabbed Tessa and dragged her behind a control console as energy bolts scorched the air. The overseer moved fast, too fast for something so thin. Its strikes were precise, optimized. Rexa took them anyway. Each hit drove her back inches, but she didn't fall. Your strength is inefficient, the overseer said, striking again. Rexa snarled. Your thinking is small. She feinted left, then slammed the hammer down, cracking the platform beneath the overseer's feet. The platform destabilized, its own systems confused by the leash collapse. Milo popped up from cover and shouted, Rexa! Left conduit, overload. She trusted him without hesitation. That trust mattered. Rexa pivoted and smashed the exposed conduit. Energy surged sideways, not into the chamber, but into the platform stabilizers. The overseer faltered. Milo ran to the console and slammed his palm down. Relay gate, manual pulse. The array obeyed. A wave of gravitational feedback rippled through the chamber, harmless to organic bodies but devastating to precision-balanced tech. The overseer collapsed to one knee. Its voice wavered for the first time. This outcome was not predicted. Milo walked toward it slowly. That's the thing about humans. Rexa loomed behind him. We're not here to be predicted. The overseer looked up at them, red slit dimming. Chaos. Milo shook his head. Choice. The overseer went still. Silence fell over the chamber, broken only by the healthy hum of the relay array. Tessa sank to the floor, laughing and crying at the same time. You did it. You actually did it. Milo let out a long breath he felt like he'd been holding his whole life. Rexa turned to him, studying his face. You turned chains into weapons. Milo smiled tiredly. That's kind of our thing. Alarms shifted tone, this time not warning, but all clear. Ships in the relay gates powered up. Escape routes reopened. Lives saved. Milo looked at the vast machinery and felt something deep settle in his chest. Humanity wasn't the strongest species in the galaxy, but it was the one that refused to stay caged. And that made all the difference. The relay chamber was quiet now. Not empty, just calm. The kind of calm that followed a storm, when the air still remembered violence but no longer feared it. The relay array glowed with steady light, its massive rings humming in harmony again. Outside the observation windows, ships began slipping through reopened gates, fleeing the station before the Dominion could regroup. Milo leaned against a console, exhaustion finally catching him. His hands shook, not from fear, but from release. He had gambled everything on an idea, and somehow, reality had listened. Tessa sat cross-legged on the floor, clutching her satchel like a lifeline. Her frills fluttered as she watched the data stream stabilize. The leash is gone, she said softly. Completely gone. I don't think they can rebuild it, not quickly. Rexa stood near the fallen overseer, her hammer resting against her shoulder. The alien commander lay motionless, its armor dark and unresponsive. Dominion tech, Milo realized, didn't fail loudly. It failed cleanly, like it had never been there at all. Rexa looked down at the overseer for a long moment. Do we end it? She asked, voice low. The question carried weight. Not just for the overseer, but for who they were choosing to be. Milo pushed himself upright and walked closer. He looked at the still form, at the empire it represented, an empire that believed order mattered more than lives. No, Milo said. Rexa turned her head sharply. It will return. Dominion does not forget. I know, Milo replied. But killing it won't end the Dominion. And sparing it sends a message they won't expect. Tessa looked up. What message? Milo met Rexa es ijs. That humans don't win by becoming monsters. We win by choosing when not to. Rexa studied him, searching for weakness, and finding something else. Finally, she stepped back and powered down her hammer. The Overseer lives, she said. But it leaves. Milo nodded. We'll eject its platform once the last civilians clear the gates. Dominion ships will have to choose, recover their leader or keep hunting an empty station. Tessa's frills lifted. That will slow them. Force hesitation. Milo smiled faintly. Hesitation is where humans live. Moments later, the final evacuation ship cleared the relay gate. Milo keyed in the command, and magnetic clamps released the Overseer's platform. With a low tremor, it drifted away from the station, powerless and alone, pulled toward deep space. The Overseer's red slit flickered once before fading. Rexa watched until it vanished. You spared an enemy who would not spare you. Milo exhaled. That's the difference. Aftermath. Wayfarer relay station survived. Damaged, scarred, and shaking, but alive. Emergency crews moved through the corridors, helping the wounded and sealing breaches. News spread fast, carried by grateful traders and shaken pilots. A human engineer. A gravitide warrior. A signal runner who refused to give up. Together, they had broken a Dominion leash. Milo sat on a crate near the hangar, sipping recycled water that tasted like metal and victory. Rexa stood nearby, watching ships depart. The galaxy will talk about this, Tessa said, joining them. The Dominion will deny it. But others will listen. Rexa crossed her arms. My people will listen. Milo looked up at her. You going back to the Gravitide clans? Rexa considered the question. I was a weapon for hire. Strength without direction. Her eyes shifted, thoughtful. Now I have seen strength used differently. She looked down at Milo. You could have let me crush you. Milo smiled. You could have crushed me. Rex's mouth curved in something close to a smile. Yes. A pause stretched between them, comfortable, heavy with shared memory. What will you do now, human? She asked. Milo stared out at the stars beyond the hangar field. The Dominion won't stop. They'll adapt. And someone has to keep breaking their rules. Tessa tilted her head. You're going to warn others. Help others, Milo corrected. Teach them how to see systems not as cages, but as tools. Rexa nodded slowly. Then you will need protection. Milo raised an eyebrow. You volunteering? Rexa snorted softly. Someone must ensure you survive long enough to cause trouble. Tessa laughed, a bright sound in a place that needed it. I'll come too. I know the relay networks. And I'm tired of running. Milo felt something warm settle in his chest. Not pride, not triumph, but purpose. The echo. Weeks later, far from Wayfarer Relay, a Dominion Council chamber flickered with silent alarms. Data feeds replayed the impossible, pylons collapsing without explosions, drones freezing mid-command, a leash turning on itself. An elder voice broke the silence. The humans did this. Yes, another replied. With minimal force. The chamber dimmed as calculations failed to resolve. They weaponized choice, the elder said slowly. That is, inefficient. And dangerous, came the reply. The human way. Milo stood on the bridge of a small, patched-together ship, the free current, as it slipped into jump space. Rexa stood beside him, arms folded. Tessa monitored the relay signals behind them. Milo watched the stars stretch into lines and thought about what they had done. Humanity had not won because it was stronger, or faster, or smarter. Humanity had won because when faced with a perfect system designed to erase them, they refused to play by its rules. They questioned. They adapted. They chose. And that choice echoed outward, across stations and species, into a galaxy that was beginning, finally, to understand. You could crush a human. You could pin them down. You could even chain their world. But sooner or later, they would find a loose wire. And when they did, they would change everything.